It's Wednesday, September 25th. It's great to have you all with us. My name is Joel Richardson, and let's bring in our East Idaho expert and insider, tennis coach and podcast extraordinaire, Sean Kane. What's up, Sean?
Oh, well, I've been getting a lot of emails, like don't pick our team, Sean, can you not pick our team for anything? No, I'm just joking. Things are good. There's a lot of buzz going on, right? Like gyms are full, fields are full, like everything's in full swing. And you kind of get that feeling, and then it's almost over, right? We're like halfway through. Football, pretty much at the end of soccer. Volleyball will come up pretty quick too, but it's everything. There's just a lot of buzz around the school today. After school, I'm a teacher at Century. Anyone new here, but yeah, just a lot going on. Century is playing Bear Lake and Butte County in a doubleheader at Century, so that'll be a fun
that for
one.
volleyball?
For volleyball, yeah, Century's going to play each of them, Bear Lake and Butte, and then Butte and Bear Lake are going to play each other while they're there. So kind of a cool little mini tournament kind of thing. Not a tournament, but a three-way play there.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're getting caught up in so much going on, hey, head on to IdahoSports.com. You get all the scores. You'll get all the Prepcast talking about those top games. You will get the live streams for football. And you'll even get some coaches and media poll standings. A few more coaches polls came out today. A few controversies there maybe we'll get to. There's a lot going on. And like you said, Sean, the season, especially for soccer, is more than halfway over. We just have a few more weeks of soccer, and then we get into district play. So, yeah, things are abuzz, and suddenly, like that, it's gone.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. We, of course, here on the East Idaho Prepcast, we always start with our athlete and our team of the week. This week, Sean, our athlete of the week comes from Pocatello football. The quarterback, Hunter May, what a game he had this past Friday. He was 17 of 32, so he's the quarterback, 17 of 32 in passing, 220 yards total, 5 throw-in touchdowns. And, Sean, you would think those are great stats. Wonderful game from Hunter May, that senior quarterback. Well, that wasn't it, right? What were his rushing stats like, Sean?
Yeah, 210 and 2 rushing TDs. And the thing to think about Hunter May is, let's go back a couple years, peel back the pages. Pocatello has an injury. Sophomore Hunter May stepped in as a quarterback as a sophomore and played in some big games. One I remember very distinctively was Pocatello lost to Highlands 7-14. It was, it wasn't too long ago. He was the quarterback, and then last year they have Drew Contreras, right? He's leading the
Contreras.
team. Yep, he's leading the team, and Hunter moved into more of a receiver type role. But Hunter May settling back in as quarterback. Obviously, he's settled well. He's set up a house, maybe a nice little suburb. But what a performance! Just. That team is, what a bounce back, right? They had a rough go against Blackfoot, losing by 2 and on the 2-point conversion, but then they go ahead and win in Butte, Montana against Sandpoint by 2 on the 2-point conversion. They stopped 1 2-point conversion, got one with the go ahead win. So there was a lot of offense in that game, 49-48, and potential playoff battle. You could see that coming again. Sandpoint played Pocatello in the first round of the playoffs last year. Pocatello kind of took it to them. It was a hurt Sandpoint team, so they were pretty big on, like, we know Sandpoint's coming after us. They want some revenge, and Pocatello was able to hold them off. But congrats to Hunter May.
Yeah, congrats. Yeah, Hunter May, our athlete, our East Idaho Prepcast athlete of the week. And then let's get on to our team of the week. For the East Idaho Prepcast, the American Falls girls soccer team. They've quietly, Sean, went on a 10-game winning streak before eventually losing to it was Marsh Valley on Monday. They lost 4-1, but tremendous opportunity there for them to go on that 10-game win streak. They're currently 4-1, 4-1-0. Got to check on those ties, right? In soccer, 4-1-0 in conference. And previously they had beaten Marsh Valley 3-2 earlier in September. I had a chance, Sean, to talk to head coach Brett Reed. He's in his 5th, 6th season with the American Falls girls soccer team. And man, does he love this team. He talks about them as being a family. They have great chemistry. A lot of these girls, he actually coached them since they were kindergartners in their little rec league out there in American Falls. And because of that, they've grown up together, they've played together, they've coached together. And here they are as juniors, seniors playing on this team. And he talks about them, again, having great chemistry, feeling like a family. He wanted to highlight Aliana Cruz's. Sean, she has about 110 goals so far, varsity goals in her high school career. And she's trying to beat a record. I believe it was 150, 159 set by one of her previous teammates who has now moved on to greener pastures, graduated a few years ago. Alana Cruz's, and there were some other players that he highlighted. Just a phenomenal team, that American Falls Girls Soccer Club.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Kind of slowly, quietly in the background are the American Falls Beavers Girls Soccer. Now, we did kind of highlight them a little bit a while ago, but now it's kind of like you start, there's a few games we don't really know, and now we've got a lot of games. But how's the Southeast Idaho Conference going to pan out? I mean, it's going to be brutal. 1.5 bids to state. You've got American Falls and Marsh Valley both right up there in the conference. And, it's going to be, they're going to have to play each other more than once. You can just kind of feel that coming. It's, a double elimination bracket more than likely, and they're going to have to play each other more than once. So it'll be really interesting to see how that pans out. But congrats, American Falls are doing a great job. Coach Reed, 5th season. It's kind of like football, you get to that 4th or 5th season. That's when you got your players have been there for a little bit, and it's showing that the system and the coaching and all that and the girls' hard work is doing well.
Yeah, and here at the East Idaho Prepcast, we love our East Idaho sports. We try not to have favorites, and I think we do a pretty good job of staying neutral. But as I was talking to Coach Reed, I couldn't help but yeah, feel for this team and just all the work they've put in, the family culture that they have. They started doing a cheer early on where they would say American Falls family. And they noticed that as they played teams a second time throughout especially as conference play started, some of these teams have taken that cheer and used it for their own cheers, Marsh Valley family, and coach is fine with that. He mentioned that he thought it was interesting, but he liked it because if he can allow that culture to permeate, that culture of family and togetherness throughout the league, he wants the best competition, and he feels like that ups the competition as other teams try to have that tight chemistry, have that tight family. I also asked Coach Reed, hey, tell me about any pranks or any kind of funny stories, and he mentioned that the players had their TikTok dances, and they've gotten coach on some TikTok dances, whether he knew it or not, and he tries to keep it light. They do some yoga together. They do a lot of kind of mental exercises to stay strong mentally, especially during that 10-game win streak. He said there was pressure there to keep it going, and so they do some things that maybe aren't conventional, but he likes to keep it light and keep the players loose and playing. And man, it's worked so far, Sean.
Yeah, imitation's the best form of flattery, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what you got to do. I mean, I'm not going to be in any TikTok videos. I can tell you that right now that I'm aware of. But it's the little things that make the difference. It's the relationship. Coach Reed is really built on that relation. I feel that in this, that he's got that relationship going, and that's what builds the trust, the camaraderie, and that's when you come together and you do something special. Everyone can do everything good, but who can do it great, and that's what Reed's doing right now in Marsh Valley, or excuse me, American Falls.
Falls, yeah, no, it's okay. And to you mentioned earlier that they'll play each other a few times, in the district tournament and perhaps in the playoffs, and at state they have played each other twice. And they're 1-1 on both those. Marsh Valley won the second one. American Falls won that first game. And so congratulations to the American Falls girls soccer team. Those Beavers playing really well. They had a little hiccup against Marsh Valley on Monday, but doing really having a great season and doing well in conference play. We got a couple comments coming in. This one from Sam Buffington. Thanks for doing this. Sam, thanks for being here with us. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for commenting. And another question from Sam as well is the girls state soccer tournament in 4A in East Idaho this year. I'd have to look that up really fast on the IHSA website, unless you know off the top of your head, Sean.
I want to say I don't know.
No problem. I'm gonna find it really fast. If you could just wax eloquently about tournaments.
Well, it's either up north or it's in Idaho Falls. I feel that, and sometimes Boise. So it's 3 places. We got a 33% chance here, Sam. And
all right, I have the answer, Sean, if we're ready for it. Unless you want to guess. No, it's at Real Life Fields in Post Falls, Sam. So Post Falls has got the 4A north, exactly. So that's where the 4A tournament is going to be. And hopefully a lot of East Idaho teams there. Again, 4A Southeast Idaho Conference gets 1.5 bids. Last year, American Falls girls soccer team, they lost to Buell in that play-in game. But I believe Marsh Valley did go. I think they were a 3 or 4 seed, if I'm not mistaken. And Marsh Valley played well. I believe Marsh Valley got 3rd in the 4A state tournament last year. And Sam finally says, thanks, guys. You're welcome, Sam. Anytime for our good friend Sam Buffington up there in North Idaho. All right, let's move on. Congrats to our Athlete of the Week and Team of the Week. Now let's recap, Sean, some of the biggest games and matches from this past week. A few football games. We had some high-scoring action, Sean, from East Idaho teams. A couple of those. Rigby beat West out of Utah, that really good Salt Lake school, 35-33. I mean, we're talking 68 points total. And then Highland beat Thunder Ridge 37-27. Sean, walk us through that Highland Thunder Ridge game. What happened there?
What a game.
A lot of points, man.
A lot of points and a lot of turnovers. Highland fumbled the ball 4 times. Highland doesn't fumble the ball 4 times. The score might be a little lopsided. I think Highland is maybe wins this a little easier, but give credit to Thunder Ridge. Thunder Ridge doesn't have their starting quarterback Portman in. They have Ezra Moss. Yeah, he started last year, but Portman was slated to be the starter this year, but broke his collarbone. So Moss is back in this game, and it was difficult. Highland defense is strong, but Thunder Ridge, took a lead a couple times and just couldn't really sustain the lead because Highland would go on these 6-minute, 8-minute drives, which they've done. I remember this last year. Anytime things start going awry, Nick Sorrell and the Highland Rams put together these long, sustainable drives that just suck the life out of the other team, and that's what Highland was able to do. And yeah, the turnovers or fumbles. I mean, it was really hard for Highland to get any sort of momentum. But I will tell you, in the second half, Cedric Mitchell, he was our IdahoSports.com player of the game. He put the team on his back, literally, caught the ball, carried the ball. Kind of wondered where he was in the first part of the game. But Thunder Ridge has a good offensive defensive line. But when it needed to happen, and when Highland needed something, Cedric Mitchell was big time. It was also interesting to see Keaton Belknap in action live. The Marsh Valley transfer. He had kind of a hard game too because he fumbled twice. But I think this conference, there's a lot more question marks than answers because Thunder Ridge is playing probably the best they've played, in the last few years. The coach has been there. It's a really interesting story. Like, both coaches are in their 3rd season. Both coaches come from Highland. Nick Sorrell just stayed. Mikey's at Thunder Ridge, but they're kind of both in the same coaching tree, that Gino Mariani coaching tree, kind of like a Bill Belichick coaching tree or something.
Right.
So there's no surprises on what they're trying to do. They know each other very well. But a good game. I would have to say Thunder Ridge can't be upset. They played the best I think they've played. As a team. They've never beaten Highland in their school existence, and they had an opportunity there too. So. It was a good game. It's just going to be really interesting to see when these teams play Madison and Rigby, right? Because right now, Rigby's lost some games, but they've been playing really well, and Madison hasn't lost. Highland hasn't lost. It's just there's a lot at stake in this conference when all the teams are playing so well.
Yeah, and then. So congrats to Highlands for keeping that streak going, but Thunder Ridge playing a great game. And like you say, more question marks after that win because it was such a high scoring game. And Highlands defense didn't keep them, at 14 or 7, but they scored 27 on Highlands. So very curious to see Highland Rigby, Madison Highland, and then very curious to see how Thunder Ridge does against those Madison and Rigby as well. Preston beat Burley 45-20. It's the first win of the season for Preston. Unfortunately, there was an injury for Burley. Starting quarterback QB Mac Jensen. He's a star quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He's out for the season due to a leg injury that he sustained, Sean, during the second drive. And Preston just took advantage of the defense of Burley's defense and went deep ball over and over again. Ended up winning that game 45-28. We already talked about the Pokey Sandpoint game. Pokey pulling that one out 49-48. And then let's go to another large, high-scoring game. We'll do two more. This one was high-scoring. It was Marsh Valley blanking Soda Springs 50-0, bringing Marsh Valley to 3-1. Sean, I'm very interested in what Marsh Valley has going on. Conference play starts October 11th, but listen to the schedule for Marsh Valley. They got Filer, they have a bye, then 3 conference games ending with American Falls at home. Marsh Valley has a good chance to run the table here.
Yeah, you've got Marsh Valley, playing well. Have they played as hard of opponents as some of the other schools? I don't know. That would be my question there. I think you've got an American Falls team that's also doing very well. I mean,
right.
let's not go too far back. American Falls almost beat Aberdeen, and Aberdeen right now is a team on a mission. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they can, win all these games, and then that whatever happens, that game against American Falls at the end of the year is going to more than likely be a must win for either team going forward for some sort of playoff berth. You can just see that kind of brewing up in the pot.
Yeah. And so that does it for our kind of high scoring football games. One more that we wanted to highlight. Kimberly, Sean, beat Sugar Salem 17-14. Sean, is it time to worry about, if you're a Sugar Salem fan, if you're a Sugar Salem, follower? They've lost 2 in a row after going on that massive win streak that covered, I believe, 2 seasons plus. And Sugar was bumped to second, and now they've been bumped to third in this week's coaches poll.
I mean, we'd have to give Lance Taylor, one of our broadcasters, a call to find out the last time Sugar Salem football lost 2 games in a row.
Right.
You might have to go to that Rolodex of information. Are you worried? I mean, I don't think so. I think what you gather from this more than anything is Kimberly is maybe a team people aren't getting enough credit for. They're able to, put together this end drive that had a bunch of penalties, and somehow managed to get down and kick a field goal to win. As time expires, they run, one play just to get it to the middle of the field, call that last time out. Their time management and that drive was phenomenal. I think you just, you don't want to take anything away from Sugar. I think they're still a great team. They're going to be playing later, but maybe you just have to say, yeah, Kimberly's a lot better than maybe what the rest of the state's giving them credit for.
I like that. Both can be true. Kimberly can be very much better than we realize, and Sugar is going to be okay. I would agree with that. And that's going to do it for football this week. Let's move into girls soccer. Sean, some great games. Pocatello played Twin recently, won 3-2. And then on Monday, Skyline played Bonneville at Bonneville, won 6-1. Very important game there, as now Bonneville is tied with Hillcrest for that second place, as Skyline takes commanding control of first place. And then other games, American Falls lost to Marsh Valley 4-1, as we already talked about. And then on yesterday, Idaho Falls lost to Hillcrest 4-0. That was a 3-2 by one, just by a tie. And so of those games, Sean, which ones are more interesting to you?
I mean,
in terms of like standings now.
Well, I don't know. District 6, I feel like sometimes we could throw the regular season out the window. Sure. It might matter where you get spotted in the tournament, and hopefully you get against someone that you feel more confident about, maybe, or maybe you don't. But I think upsets are just breakfast. You eat it every day, right? That's what's going to happen. In that District 6. I think Pocatello, that's a good win. Twins always very strong girls program from the Valley there. But I would look, I'm kind of surprised by Hillcrest winning 4-0 against an Idaho Falls team. I also think is pretty good. But sometimes, soccer games, looking at the score could tell you absolutely nothing about the game. I think that's the one thing with soccer. It's really hard to get a picture of the game unless you were there, because it might have been a lot closer. It's just kind of how soccer rolls, right? It's the score's not so indicative of how the game actually unfolded.
Yeah. And then you have Skyline, and you mentioned you can throw the regular season out the window. So right now we're really playing for district seeding, right? Seeding for the tournament. Skyline in first, Hillcrest second, Bonneville third, tied with Idaho Falls, like we mentioned, except for that tie. That Idaho Falls, they do have a tie, so they're just behind Bonneville, and then Shelley and Blackfoot 1-4 and 0-6 respectively. So if you're Skyline, you're feeling good, but like you say, upsets are like eating breakfast. So I wouldn't be surprised if Skyline loses maybe one game in that, and then that tiebreaker has to be quantified. Boys soccer last Thursday, Thunder Ridge played Canyon Ridge. That ended up being a tie. Remember, Canyon Ridge is in 6A in the High Country Conference. So that game was a conference game, tie game there. Then on Thursday, going down to 5A High Country Conference, Blackfoot beat Idaho Falls 4-0. And I talked to the Idaho Falls coach. They really wanted that second game. They're looking forward to playing Blackfoot. Blackfoot has been so good this season. They are the strong number one, and they will get that number one seed. You never know what will happen in the district tournament, like you said, Sean. But Blackfoot right now is on a tear. They're 5-0 in conference, sole possession of first. Then also this past Monday, 2 days ago, Idaho Falls beat Hillcrest 3-1. That was a 2-3 game. So I believe Idaho Falls is now in commanding control of that second place. Yeah, they are. They're commanding control of that second place, which gives them, I believe, a bye in the district tournament. So that's good for Idaho Falls. And finally, in 4A for boys soccer, the first conference game of the season for the Sugar and Teton. Sugar defeated Teton 4-1, Sean.
Yeah, Scott Terry and the Diggers picking up the slack on the winning for Sugar Salem during the week, right? If it's not football, Sugar Salem's going to win something, and always a competitive. There's only 3 teams in the conference, right? The last few years it's been pretty dominated by Sugar Salem and Teton competing for that spot at state. I don't think anything changes there, but yeah, Sugar continuing to do well.
Yeah, and Sugar is 1-0 in conference now, 9-1 overall. That Max Preps ranking matters, and they've got that so far. That's going to do it for boys and girls soccer. Let's move into volleyball really fast, Sean. On this past Thursday was a huge game. Nope, wrong one. Thursday was Madison played Rigby 3-0. Madison won again. Madison on their own massive winning streak. And then the same day, Blackfoot down to 5A High Country Conference. Blackfoot defeated Shelley 3-1. And then on Saturday, Bear Lake defeated Preston. First conference game for Bear Lake 3-1. And Bear Lake, they're feeling really good about their season. Of course, they're up with Preston in that I believe that's 3A conference.
4A.
4A doing well there. That's right, because their teams, all the teams moved up, but Bear Lake went one further, wanted to push themselves in volleyball. So good job for Bear Lake to keep that going. First conference game and first conference win for them. And then on Thursday, last Thursday, North Fremont. This was a big one. North Fremont beat Firth 3-2. They went to 5 sets. North Fremont is now 2-0, 8-11 overall, but kind of a surprising possession of that first place, as North Fremont was going into this game at 7-11 and had the worst overall record.
Yeah, that's why you play the games, Joel. You got to go out there. You got to put the ball in the goal, and yeah, and again, I think you're gonna see these teams play again, and maybe at a district tournament. But yeah, very very interesting. Firth, very competitive, and North Fremont as well.
Yeah, and for volleyball, right? These two teams were fighting for that second place. Ryrie was right there at 12-4. Suddenly, Ryrie's 1-1 in conference play. So North Fremont takes the first place, Firth in second, and Ryrie in third. When a lot of us were thinking Ryrie volleyball was going to be taking command of that new conference in 3A. Some other volleyball scores that are of interest. Last Wednesday, Soda played Westside. Huge game there. Westside won 3-0. And suddenly Soda, who was having a good volleyball season in conference, has now lost 2 games in a row. And they're going to be fighting for the rest of their the regular season to get that good seat in conference play with 2 losses.
Yeah, and and volleyball is one of the sports too. Their overall record can be, you could have a team in first place in a conference and have a bad overall record. You've got to kind of dig into their regular season and see what they've done, what tournaments they played, what's their early season non-conference look like. So volleyball is kind of a sport, like you really have to take a deep dive into some of the schedules and look at it. And so it's kind of interesting. You would think, oh, they have the better record, they're going to be the best in the conference, or they don't have a good record. It can kind of throw that all out the window when you get into the conference play.
Yeah, good point. And, because of that loss, and then they lost the next day, Thursday, those are those 2 losses we were talking about. So uphill climb for Soda Springs, but Declo, Westside doing well in conference play so far. And then finally, this was the big game that I teased earlier. Pocatello versus Wood River, arguably 2 of the best teams in 5A volleyball. Went to 5 sets, Sean. Pokey winning 3-2, went 18-25 Wood River, then 25-12 Pokey, 25-22 Pokey. Wood River comes back 25-23, to make it to take it to the 5th final game, and Pocatello took Wood River no problem, 15-5.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. We thought it would be something like this, 2 really good teams playing every point possible you can play when you match up. It wasn't 3-0, it was a 5-setter, but Pocatello 15-5 in that final frame. I think that just shows the depth of that Pocatello team that's coming back with most of the people from last year and doing really well. And it's kind of interesting too, because on IdahoSports.com, the coaches poll for volleyball just came out today.
Right. Tell us what that's on, or what's there.
Well, and you would be wrong. The coaches think Idaho Falls is the best team in 5A, followed by Pocatello, Lakeland, Bonneville, and Columbia. And Wood River, I think, was on it previously, is no longer in the top 5 on the coaches poll. But yeah, I mean, solidifies Pocatello a spot in there definitely. And Idaho Falls, Idaho Falls volleyball isn't somewhere we've been in the direction of too much, but a very, very good program, not too far removed from winning state championships at a higher level.
Right.
Now at the 5A level, and they've done really good. They've done really well. Between Idaho Falls and Bonneville in Idaho Falls, they just produce volleyball teams year after year after year. And probably some of the kids from Madison probably are in these same clubs and stuff too, right? Because you've got Madison, that's pretty much a unanimous number 1. I don't know if they were or not, but in my book they are at 14-0 and 3-0 in the conference. But yeah, that East Idaho, that east north, really east but north part is kind of where volleyball, it's just it's so good there. It's always so dominant.
Head coach of Pocatello, Paige Latham, got a chance to chat with her. She mentioned that Pocatello had some tough serves, along with how they spread out their offense, where 3 of their hitters were in the double digits for kills. So when you have that kind of production from lots of different hitters, you can move the ball around, and the other team, in this case Wood River, you don't know what to watch for, and you're on your heels versus on your toes, because you're looking at 3 different hitters who can pound this ball and get that point from Pocatello. So Pocatello's feeling really good. Yeah, but right now they're ranked number 2, Idaho Falls number 1. Talk to the Idaho Falls AD. You mentioned them, and he said, man, can you guys get to a volleyball game, Idaho Falls, which would be a blast. I think live volleyball is so fun. It's super intense. It's loud, constant cheering. That would be awesome. We'll have to talk to our boss, Paul Kingsbury, to get us out there. I also noticed, I was watching the North Idaho Prepcast, Sean, get a little controversy going, but they were all talking about Lakeland, Sean. Lakeland, the team to beat. North Idaho.
They were talking about
What's
Lakeland.
That all about, Sean?
They're talking about Lakeland and girls basketball too, right? Pocatello beats them. It's the same. It's probably a lot of the same girls. You're saying Pocatello had a lot of people that could attack the ball. Let's not forget this Pocatello volleyball team has Abby Lusk and Kenna Garza, two 6-footers who
Both
are
playing
also
hoops.
are D1 commits in basketball. So they've got a lot of power, a lot of height, and I can tell you, I don't want to try to get a ball from Kenna Garza.
No,
I don't, or Abby Lusk, like the Scottie Pippen of women's basketball. I always say Abby Lusk is she like the Scottie Pippen of volleyball too? But yeah, they're pretty good. But no, you can't take any credit away from Lakeland. I think now though, has Lakeland played anyone in the top 5 or down there in also receiving votes? And maybe they've played Lewiston. I don't know off the top of my head, but Pocatello's played Wood River. They've played some really tough teams, and so yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Cannot wait for that game. I would love to have Lakeside Pocatello in that championship game. But I was watching. I suddenly tuned right when I tuned in. They were talking about girls volleyball and how good Lakeland was, and they had a great matchup this last weekend. I was thinking, I don't know. Pocatello's really close, if not better. So
the problem is on their show, they're always talking, well, Lakeland played Walla Walla, Toucan, Washington, and they're the 7A champs. And I mean, I don't know what that means, Joel. I only know the champions here in our state.
That's right.
And so that's what I compare. I go to the gas station because that's what we have in Pocatello.
Right.
And I look at blue trophies, and it's beautiful.
We get gas and we buy trophy cases because we have too many trophies, and they're big trophy cases. I love it. Hey, and if you want to listen to North Idaho Prepcast, if you want or watch North Idaho Prepcast, want to watch this one, go back and listen to it and tell us all the takes we're getting wrong, all the takes we're getting right, including how great East Idaho sports is. Tune in every week, right, on the on IdahoSports.com's YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account. And then you can also listen to this podcast on IdahoSports.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
But I don't want to get too mean though, Joel, because they did allude to a little bit that there will be some collaboration between us coming. They've been trying to keep me and Ryan apart for a very long time, and it's going to happen, whether anyone likes it or not. But yeah, Ryan does a great job, really connected to all those coaches, and he's definitely always my go-to guy when I'm prepping for games and stuff against teams in the north. And it's what a resource I have. I can just hit him up and get all this great information about these teams. So great job up there in the north.
No, yeah, Ryan Skaggs does an awesome job. I want to be as connected and knowledgeable in high school sports as Ryan Skaggs is for not just North Idaho, but all sports. He seems to just know so much about all these high school athletes, their teams, and their histories. So now shout out to North Idaho Prepcast, Ryan Skaggs, but we're coming for you, Skaggs. East Idaho Sports are coming for North Idaho Sports. And yeah, we're going to do a little crossover in a couple weeks, which will be a total blast. Sean, let's finish off with some swimming. We're going to talk about swimming, my favorite sport. we had a triple dual meet, Sean, Rigby Skyline Century, and there were some great performances, man. Skyline girls, Rigby boys, and Century's Kieran Patterson. Walk us through some of those performances, man.
Yeah, the Skyline girls 200 melody. That's a hard word for me to
relay. Yeah,
that relay, which is always really fun. Yeah. They got 2:10, 9 seconds ahead of second place. So 9 seconds in swimming's a long.
You're waiting.
Yeah, you're looking. So a great performance there. And then on the boys' side in the same race, Rigby also won with 1:53, and they had a 5-second lead. Not as much. I mean, it's kind of still similar. I think with 5 seconds to 9 seconds, you're going to have that space, which if you're watching, it's hard to believe that you can get that much space when they start off so close. So Nice job by them. And then Patterson of Century, first in the 200 free, broke her own school record of 2:09 and first in the 100 fly. So nice job from some East Idaho swimming up there at that triple duel.
Yeah, Skyline girls, Rigby boys, and Century's Kieran Patterson bringing it in the pool. Good job there. And swimming is coming up pretty quickly. And I want to get on my soapbox about swimming, but I won't right now. Swimming here in East Idaho, or I guess Idaho in general. But we'll keep Brandon Bainey. We'll allow Brandon Bainey to have the soapbox for a while. Let's go to We already talked about, Sean, some of the standings for girls, boys soccer. And we'll do volleyball in a few weeks, since volleyball just has a few more weeks until they're getting close to the end of their season. But really fast, Sean, any surprises for girls or boys soccer? Again, Highland is solid first for girls soccer. Then and at 5A level, you got Skyline, Hillcrest, Bonneville, IF, but Skyline with the strong number one. Pocatello is doing a great job. Sugar, obviously, doing great. And then we already talked to American Falls, Marsh Valley. They're both 1-1 against each other. Anything else there that you wanted to highlight for girls soccer standings? Oh, we can't hear you, Sean.
This is kind of the path. I had to beat myself. No, this is kind of the path we saw coming. I still think that American Falls, Marsh Valley is going to really, that's going to be quite the battle. Everything else is pretty much chalk as of right now.
Okay, I agree. And then for boys soccer, Thunder Ridge in first place, then Rigby, Canyon Ridge are right there. And then Blackfoot, they're dominating, like we already mentioned. Century doing a great job. Really no competition, unfortunately, from Pocatello and Preston. Really curious. Century is one of those teams that we talked about at the beginning of the season that we were watching, and Century has not disappointed. And to go back to Thunder Ridge, they haven't disappointed either, but we'll wait to see what happens in state. And then Sugar and Teton, whichever one wins claims that one seed in their district tournament, and that'll be very important. And finally, American Falls boys, they should win out and claim that first seed in district tournament. But anyone there that hasn't gone chalk that surprises you, Sean?
But I think the really interesting game will be this Saturday as Century travels to Wood River. Yes. They're both 1 and 2 in the coaches poll right now on IdahoSports.com. They're 1 and 2 in max preps. I think, we're going to have, some sort of picture out of this game, no matter what happens. Wood River, definitely a hard place to go and play a game. So we'll see what happens. The thing is, the game happens. If Century wins, it's good. If Wood River wins, it's good. I don't think it matters much. They're both kind of in the direction to be 1 or 2 at that bracket when it comes to state.
Right. Well, and you've already mentioned it. Let's go right into it for our biggest games coming up. Let's go into boys soccer. Thursday, we got 1-1-1. We already mentioned these teams. Rigby at 1-1-1 Canyon Ridge. So this is 2 versus 3. Then on Saturday, Thunder Ridge turns around and plays Canyon Ridge, and this is a 1 versus 3 for Thunder Ridge. Thunder Ridge doing everything well so far, but man, this would be the wrong time to have a hiccup.
Yeah, I kind of like Canyon Ridge moving to this conference.
Me too.
They're not far removed from, almost winning the consolation in 4A last year against a very good Idaho Falls team. So it'll be interesting to see. Canyon Ridge, they lost to Blackfoot last year at state, which we know Blackfoot's really good. They go on to take basically 4th place. They don't give out 4th place. But then Canyon Ridge beats Caldwell, which has been a very dominant force in 4A. This Canyon Ridge team was ranked high last year, proved it, went to state, won some games. So, now up in a higher division for soccer, can they play with this division and come out with a state berth? I think you're going to have some more question marks maybe after this game than answers, but it should be a good one.
Yeah. Well, and then after Thunder Ridge and Canyon Ridge play, then Thunder Ridge plays Rigby, and that's a 1 versus 2. As long as Rigby doesn't lose the Canyon Ridge, that's a 1 versus 2 matchup, and that's going to be very interesting. If Thunder Ridge has a hiccup this week and next, of course, these games are Thursday and next Tuesday, that's going to be very interesting for those district tournament standings. Finally, for 5A, then we have Skyline plays Hillcrest. That's the 3rd versus 4. Again, Blackfoot, this is boys soccer. Blackfoot dominant. They're the first seed right now. They're in first place. So this is a 3rd versus 4, third place battle. If Skyline can beat Hillcrest, they established that 3rd place and that just slightly better seed. And maybe one of them can avoid playing Blackfoot in that semifinal.
Yeah, I would definitely say Skyline boys soccer is a team you don't want to play first round of the district tournament. That's a team I've actually gotten to see play. They're very physical. They're very strong. They're going to play hard. They're going to grind it out with you. And you got to be willing to, play that grind game against them. And like they're just like that team in the dark alley you don't want to play. you want to try to avoid it. So big games coming up.
Yeah. And then girls soccer this Saturday, we mentioned this a little earlier. 3-2 Bonneville plays at 4-1 Hillcrest. This is a 2 versus 3 fight for second place. Sean, who do you like in that one?
I think Hillcrest right now is playing pretty well. I mean, Hillcrest is definitely the runner up to Skyline right now if we looked at it on paper, but I think
Right.
Hillcrest is a very good team. I kind of like Hillcrest, but again, Bonneville, a team, again, I don't think that's a girls team you want to have to play again. First, maybe you inch out a 1-0, 1-0 game in the regular season, and then however it falls, you have to play them again, and just that's another team I just don't think you want to play. You want to get a win and avoid having to play them, unless maybe it's a championship game, right? And then you're excited to play no matter who it is.
No doubt. No, and you mentioned this last week, the High Country Conference for both boys, maybe less so for boys, but especially for girls soccer, it's like on any night anyone can lose. And I would say for boys soccer, if you're two through 5 seeds, right? 2, 3, 4, maybe 2, 3, 4. You never know who's going to win that game. They're starting to get some separation. Idaho Falls is in that second place right now, but still, yeah, you would rather play someone else from a different conference, frankly, than having to play your own conference week in, week out. Just because you never know who's going to win, who's going to lose that game. And then let's go on to 4A for girls soccer. American Falls 4-1 playing Marsh Valley 4-1-1. They're not playing, but watch both those teams, their schedules. We've already mentioned both these teams, but if they win out, one of them will get the number 1 seed in the district tournament. I'm not sure who, because that tie with Marsh Valley tied, I believe it was Snake River, Sean. So if American Falls beats Snake River, I think they're playing tonight, actually. The game is already over. If someone out there knows the score, hit us up at Sean Kane 182, and I'm on that's on Twitter, and then I'm at Instagram at Joel H Richardson. Let us know what that score was. Very interested in that one, because if American Falls beats Snake River, I believe they take that first place, unless there's something with head-to-head matchups and scores. But anyway, if both those teams win out, one of them gets the number 1 seed in the district tournament. Much easier to avoid that play-in game that we already mentioned. That play-in game can be so tough.
Yeah, and that's kind of the case, and it just kind of depends. Every district has some different rules about if it's head-to-head, common opponent, whatever it may be. It can become a little dirty when there's not very many teams, right? And depending who you played, so either way, you want to win out the rest of the time and solidify your spot.
Yeah, and then let's finish off with golf. We'll kind of almost finish off. We'll do golf, and then we'll finish off with football for our picks of the week. Hey, with golf, Sean, there's something really interesting going on. Of course, for this week is the Emotion Bowl week. We also have the Black and Blue, which we'll get into just in a little bit. But for the Emotion Bowl, we also have, Sean, the Tiger Grizz Cup. Tell us about that.
It's something I just learned about, Joel.
Brand new.
I don't know if they've been doing this or for a while or just started, but at Sage Lakes, the winner gets to spray paint the golf course. Well, the flagpole, the school, they don't get to just put like tigers or grizzly bears all over the golf course, but they get to decide the flagpole to be the school's color, just like in the Emotion Bowl, they get to paint the goalposts for that year. So kind of fun, kind of an interesting twist to it, something to play for. Kind of cool to know when you go out there that's for your school, that color of the flagpole. So very fun.
Yeah, definitely. So looking forward to that. That's going to be tomorrow, September 26th. Like Sean said, at Sage Lakes, winner sprays the golf course flagpole, their school color. And then here we go, Sean. It's football on Friday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. It's Emotion Bowl week. It's Black and Blue Bowl week. It's rivalry week. And we love it. So here we go, Sean. I'm gonna give you 4 choices for football games: 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can choose one of those games and who you think is gonna win. So here are 4 games. You got IF versus Skyline at the Emotion Bowl. You have Westside at Declo, Pocatello at Highland. That's gonna be the Gate City game night, and you have Mackey at Rockland. Of those 4 games, which one do you want to choose and pick?
Well, I don't want to choose any of them at this point, but no, I'm going to go directly to Westside versus Declo.
Nice.
I think there's a lot of everyone's got a feeling, strong feelings one way or the other, and I definitely am putting on my bandana and eye patch because I'm going Westside Pirates.
All right. Our
Are
mating
you
goes.
ready?
Nice. Sean, this is part of the game, and I have to play as well. I'm also going to choose West Side. It's not because I love Pirates, although I do. It's not because, well, the fake, Johnny Depp ones. And it's not because I don't love Declo. It's not because I'm an East Idaho fan. I think West Side really is the better team. I think Declo is still really good, and they could still push West Side. But I think head-to-head matchup, it's gonna be a West Side game. Look, it's gonna be a defensive battle. Let's be honest, right? And I think whoever scores is gonna win the game. Sean, it's gonna be really exciting. Looking forward to that one. Sean chooses West Side. I choose West Side. All right, that's Sean's pick. West Side versus Declo as the interesting game for him. For me, oh man, I'm going to choose I'm going to choose Mackey and Rockland, Sean, and I'm going to choose Rockland. I've chosen against them just kind of in my head almost every game not every game, but every game when they've gone when our Idle Sports broadcasters have picked, I've picked against Rockland. So I'm going the Mackey Rockland. Awesome conference game. It's the first conference game for Macklin, excuse me. Rockland's already won a conference game, so they're 1-0 in conference. But they're 2-2 overall. But I'm going Rockland. Who do you got, Sean?
Oh man, this is a tough game. This is a game that I saw and knew it was going to be one to circle. Now, I will give you some bad news. Rockland is decimated by injuries right now.
Yeah,
Insider track. I think last week maybe 10 guys played. They're on their third string freshman quarterback. I don't know. They're barely going to have enough to put on the team. But I'm also going to go Rockland. I don't think Mackey's quite there at 1-2. They beat Kansas County, but they've lost poorly to Dietrich and Tri-Valley. So I'm still going to go Rockland, but I could be wrong. Like, me picking your team is not what you want at this point in the season. But I still have faith in Rockland in this game, and I'm not sure quite Mackey has the resume right now of the games they've played to beat Rockland. But I do think the game will be much closer than it might have originally been when you looked at it on the schedule.
I think that's the title of our podcast, Sean. Me picking your team is not what you want. I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad we didn't pick the ones that I'm, broadcasting.
Right? That was strategic, man.
I immediately went away from those ones. I'll tell you that right now.
Totally. Yeah, no, I've learned early on as I've started doing this podcast with you, Sean, that I avoid picking the ones that I'm broadcasting. So yeah, good call there. Good call there, man. But very looking forward to very much the two rivalry games, Pocatello, Highland, Black and Blue Bowl. It's the 67th edition. Sean, Highland leads by a whopping 52-14. Last year, I believe, was Pocatello's year. There was a lot of rumors going on. Pocatello's going to take it to you guys. Highland Nick Straw, I was reading the article from last year, and Nick said people would come up to him around town and say, they're going to get you guys. This is their year. And Nick Straw said, Pocatello was built. That team was built to beat Highland. And Pocatello still couldn't finish the job on Highland 1.
Yeah, and I broadcast that game last year with Lance Taylor, and Pocatello did have a chance to tie that game up. A couple pass interference penalties near the goal line, and then there's one more chance. The ball is in the Thunder's hands and just can't hold on to it, and it falls
twice,
short.
right? Wasn't like twice they had chances?
2 of them. Yeah, it was so close. And I mean, that's just to tie the game up, right? That's not to win the game. Right. It ends up being 24-17 Highland wins. But again, go back 2 years when Hunter May was the quarterback, and there wasn't that buzz like there was last year that the Thunder could, finally come back and win that game, right? Or win that game. But you think back 2 years ago, Hunter May, quarterback, the Thunder just lose 7-14. So I mean, you can throw everything out the window. I got to talk to Nick Sorrell a little bit just about it. And, obviously after last week against Thunder Ridge, they got to get rid of the turnovers and keep the long possessions, which I talked about. They're very good at doing. And then defensively, they've just got to, he made it very, very apparent. You got to contain May, Cordell, Williams. Those three guys can do a little all. Tavin Williams was maybe going to be the quarterback, and I think he has thrown the ball a few times for him this year. And then Cordell is just another player that can do a lot of things. But I can tell you, Highland's got a lot of defensive players that can do things. So it could be a very good contrast of an offensive team versus a defensive team. I just don't know if Pocatello can take those, what they're going to do if the offense doesn't have the ball, because that's what Highland did against Thunder Ridge, just took the ball out of the offense's hands with those long, sustainable drives.
I agree. I don't think Pocatello has the defense to keep Highland off the field. And that will be the difference. Pocatello's got to match Highland's physicality, and so that's on defense. And I don't think they can, frankly. But I think Pocatello, they have enough weapons on offense that if it does get into a shootout, watch out, Highland. Pocatello could sneak a win here. I don't think it'll get into shootout. I think Highland's defense is too good. But Pocatello does have those weapons, obviously, including Hunter May, which Highland has to contain. But I think it could be closer than people realize. But I think Highland wins this game once again. And then the Emotion Bowl, Sean, both you and I are going to be at. It's going to be our game of the week. These games of the week, in case you don't know, if you're new to this, we've started something new at IdahoSports.com where we add a little polish to the game of the week. We add a few more cameras. We add a production guy, and it really is a good time. And we get you good footage. We get you down in the field coverage of both sidelines, words from coaches, etc. So great opportunity there to watch the game of the week. And this is going to be Idaho Falls versus Skyline for the Emotion Bowl. This is, I believe it's the 55th Emotion Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. Should be Skyline's the win, but rivalry games get weird, Sean.
Yeah, last year I was at this game last year broadcasting, and Idaho Falls gave Skyline everything they could handle. And I would say I felt Skyline was more, lucky to come away with the win than winning the game, just some turnovers and things. But, if we look at it right now, you definitely would have to favor a Skyline team coming out and winning. Their offense, I think, just has a little too many weapons for this Idaho Falls Tiger defense. But again, this rivalry game, throw it out, fill all the bleachers, grab some popcorn, you settle in. And this is a Saturday game too. So, kind of a fun experience. But yeah, it should be, I think you're still going to have some heated moments and battles, but Skyline, had a big win last week, and they're kind of riding a wave right now, kind of in control of their own destiny as maybe the number 1 5A team in the state.
Yeah, and Idaho Falls, they're nothing to shake your fist at. I mean, they've been in their games. They've been close in most of their losses. They just have a few mishaps, and then it seems like after that, big turnover or a fumble, the wheels start to come off. So I just think it's maybe just the lack of experience for Idaho Falls. But you take away some of those mishaps, and Idaho Falls could keep this game close and maybe sneak out with a win here. So looking forward to that one. That's going to be this Saturday, 7:00 Mountain Time, game of the week. If you can't be there at the game with your popcorn, like Sean mentioned, fill in those bleachers, catch the game on IdahoSports.com. And that Pocatello Highland game is going to be Friday. That's going to be our Gate City game night starting 7 o'clock, and coverage will start at 6:50. So, Sean, this weekend, you're going to be at 2 places, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, the talent goes where he's needed, Joel. I mean, that's what it comes down. No, get to go Pocatello versus Highland, black and blue. I'm a Pocatello High School graduate myself. I've been to many of these games throughout the years. It's an experience. If you ever been to one, I recommend going. And it's up at Highland at Iron Horse, which I think is just a phenomenal stadium. It's cut into the ground. You got the golf course on the one side. There's not a bad seat.
Yeah,
it's a stadium. There's not a bad seat. last year this game was at Lookout and there wasn't enough seats. The whole edge of the fence was covered with people. I think we'll have enough seats. But I'd get there early and then plan on not getting out of the parking lot quickly. But it should be a good one. And like you said, Idaho Falls Skyline, it's one of always the most explosive games of the year. And you know what, when we're talking about it, and it's the same thing every year. Like it's always like, and I think it's just 2 years ago, Idaho Falls won a big upset. But it's always kind of the same thing. Oh yeah, Skyline is the team, but every year Idaho Falls is pushing them to the brink, and then just 2 years ago winning the game. So don't just look at the rankings and the statistics. Just know when these two teams come to play, it's more than just a game. It's personal.
Yeah, and Ryan Skaggs agrees with you. North Idaho Prepcast coming alive. The game isn't a flop. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Like you guys say, when it's a rivalry game, you throw all that out the window. Emotions are high. Mistakes are going to be made. There's going to be fumbles, interceptions. Looking forward to that one. Then one more from Ryan saying 3 weeks, boys. We're going to go a crossover episode with the North Idaho Prepcast. Get your ties. Get buttoned up. It's going to be wild.
It's just like Law and Order, the actual story of the characters in Law and Order. You get a little bit at the end of every show, just like a little. Oh, they're dating. Oh, that's kind of what this is. It's a big buildup.
That's right.
And the ending might not be that great.
No. Hey, the ending's going to be amazing. And Ryan's guys can't wait. We can't wait. It's going to be a really good time. But until then, I'll be at Minico Burley this Friday, and then I'll be with you, Sean.
The Battle of the Ore.
The Battle of the Ore, yeah, Minico Burley. This isn't the Magic Valley Prepcast, but dude, it's the river rivalry, and they battle for an ore, man. Looking forward to that one. Burley is strapped with injuries, but they're going to come and play every down. They're going to play tough. Burley always plays tough, so looking forward to that rivalry game. And then that's Friday night for me, and then I'll be up at Ravston with you, Sean, doing the Skyline Idaho Falls game for the Emotion Bowl. Until then, I'm Joel Richardson. That's Sean Kane. Thanks for being with us on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Catch us next week. And then a few weeks after that, we'll do our crossover with Ryan Skaggs. Great to have you with us. And until next time, take care of yourselves and be excellent to each other. Good night, everybody.